Hello, I'm Elaine Smith, the Artistic Director of the Clamour Theater Company. We're holding these creative conversations with playwrights, with actors, with directors, so that you can find out more about Clamour Theater and about the artists who work with us. So welcome to this edition of a Clamour Creative Conversation. Today, we are talking with Kelly McBurnette-Andronicos, whose play Second Death of a Mad Wife was part of Clay and Water 2020, our second annual Playwrights retreat, and whose play To Tread Among Serpents was read last July in our ongoing virtual reading series. So welcome, Kelly. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Elaine. Thanks for having me.
So the first thing I'd like is for you to just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. You could be your bio, your background, awards, hobbies, whatever you would like to say.
This is always hard, like, because what do you say? So I have a bio on my website. It's also on New Play Exchange, so you can read that there. So I'm going to tell you other things that people don't know about me.
Great.
Just you and your audience, Elaine. So here's some things you don't know. One of my earliest childhood memories is playing cemetery with some kids from my neighborhood, and we all laid down. And, one of our friends would, get rocks and make a circle around us for the grave. And then we had to go find, an appropriate stone for a headstone. This is one of my earliest childhood memories. So I'm not sure what my mother thought I was doing. But that really made an impression on me at the time, having grown up in the Deep South in Alabama. Another time when I was much older and should have known a lot better, I surreptitiously acquired the the keys to my boyfriend's house that he shared with some other guys, and haunted it for several weeks. It made them crazy. And then there's a whole thing about how that went horribly wrong, as you might guess, but that's a whole nother story. And I've never admitted that to anyone, Elaine. Luckily, it was decades ago, and it hardly matters now. And then another thing that I did that really made an impression on me was there's a pilgrimage, a Good Friday pilgrimage, on the Easter weekend in northern New Mexico, where you walk to the Santuario de Chimayo, which is this ancient church in northern New Mexico, out in the middle of nowhere, with this magic dirt, and people come from all over the place year round, but specifically on Good Friday, to get this magic dirt. And you can eat it, you can put it on your wounds, however you incorporate it into your healing. And it's one of those old adobe churches where you walk in and there's like piles of wheelchairs and crutches and pictures and photos of people, and it's just a very mysterious, magical, ancient feeling place. And so I walked 26 miles on Good Friday with my Catholic friend. I'm not Catholic, but she is, and in order to do this pilgrimage to this sacred place that has been pilgrimaged to for 200 years at least. And the road itself was through people's backyards, people's back gates, over creeks. I mean, it was just this ancient trail that people walk. And so that probably gives you a good idea about why I write plays about death and why it's funny.
All of that is very fascinating, and I'd like to see the plays about those incidents, actually. So perhaps we'll see those at some point. So that's great. Well, tell us a little bit about the two plays that we read, Second Death of a Mad Wife and To Tread Among Serpents. And, since they were read here, have they gone through rewrites, or have they had other readings? What's been happening?
So as you well know, as we all well know, soon after we were in Florida with all y'all, the pandemic hit, right? And then we all just went into lockdown and hibernated for however long it's been. And so I didn't get to do a lot with my plays, and I didn't do a lot of writing either, by the way. People fell into two groups there, right? As far as playwrights or writers, I think. Either you were shell-shocked and couldn't take your eyes off the train wreck, or you were writing furiously, and I was in the former group because I just couldn't stop watching what was happening around me. But nevertheless, both of those plays, after I came home, it was great the amount of support I got from the Playwrights and from Clay and Water too. I came home and I worked with a dramaturg on both of those plays that year, like a couple of months later. And since being with you all, I've revised both of those plays over the last year. So I spent a lot of my time, while I wasn't writing new stuff, I was revising existing plays. And I think you asked me about what Second Death of a Mad Wife is about. It's about, if you ever wondered what happened to Jack the Ripper's wife, that's what it's about.
Okay, very good. Okay, do you remember where you heard about the retreat and why you decided to apply to it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I saw it listed on, there's a blog post of called New York City Playwrights, and it's just a list of submission opportunities, and I saw it come up there, and I remember thinking, well, heck, I could spend a week in Florida in January since I live in the Midwest. Sounds pretty nice. But then the whole idea of, being somewhere you're not normally on a day-to-day basis is always really helpful.
Right. Okay, good. So tell me this, do you have a favorite play of your own, either produced or unproduced?
Yeah. Can I go back to that other question?
Yeah,
there was
sure.
some other stuff I wanted to say about that.
Absolutely.
So the idea, I was just thinking about, when I was thinking about this earlier from your questions and pondering what I got out of it, I mean, just the idea of spending a week, concentrating on my own work and the work of other playwrights really appealed to me. And not to mention that, the whole, being a week in Florida during the winter. But what I liked most about it was I liked two things. I loved the nightly format of reading one of my colleagues' plays, right? And I love the fact that we weren't overscheduled with stuff and doing things and filling our time, because we basically had all day to write or walk or think or chat or whatever. And we all ended up hanging out at the same coffee shop around the corner, which is lovely. And we just did our own thing and worked together, but separately.
Okay.
So we'd be in all parts of this coffee shop. Max would be over there, Frankie's over there, Molly's over there. And I really loved being sequestered with them, with the playwrights, in this lovely bed and breakfast. And so we got to, we basically lived with each other for a week, and we got up and we ate breakfast together, and it was all playwriting all the time. And it was just such a lovely mix of downtime, productive time, fun time, and just kind of, re-nourishing of the soul.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
I would definitely go out of my way to see, Molly Wagner or Max Gill and Dana Goldstein and Frankie Gonzalez in their work. And I still do. I will go, if I'm visiting them in their town, I check them out.
Good. That's great. Well, I'm really glad, because, you plan these things, you do them, and you hope that they go well, and they seem to, but you don't really know. And so that's good to hear.
Yes.
Okay. So now that other question, do you have a favorite play of your own?
Oh, yeah.
Most people say the one I'm working on right now, but I think that's too easy. But, you could say that if you want.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Elaine.
Okay.
It's like, that question is like, it's like asking me, who my favorite child is.
Yeah.
So, my favorite play is either the one I just finished or the one I'm working on. And so the one I'm working on right now, I've been working on for like, I've been circling the airport on this play for about 3 years. And I think I can see the landing strip. Finally. It's a play about the circus. Like, I set out to write a play about the circus when I found out that the big railroad circuses of the early 19th century wintered in rural Indiana. And so as a result of that, rural Indiana is populated by people who are descendants of circus folk, which is a weird thing. And that just broke my mind. Like, these people that, like the custodian in one of the buildings I work in on campus used to be an acrobat. It just was like, so with that, I'm working on a play called Maria Rasputin in Spangleland, about the true story of Rasputin's daughter in Peru, Indiana, working in the circus.
Wow.
Right. I like these weird intersections of things that should not intersect. That's what I find interesting.
No, that sounds interesting. I'm going to look forward to that one.
Me too. I hope I can write it.
Yes, it's always the hope and the question for all of us who write. Okay, so I'm very interested in that one, and I'm going to ask you now, what are 3 favorite plays that you may have seen or read by other playwrights, and what do you like about them?
I like plays that give me permission to do something, or to laugh at something I didn't think I could laugh at, or probe something I never thought to probe, right? And those kind of plays really stay with me. And so when I was thinking about this, I thought of the plays that I had read that had in some way influenced me or given me permission to do something, and that I've appreciated in that way. The first one would be, it's a full-length play called The Haunted Widow Lincoln by Donna Latham. And it's a play about, Abraham Lincoln's wife, Mary Todd Lincoln. But the language in it, the kind of mystical, fantastical characters, the non-realistic dialogue, and just the right amount of insanity mixed with reality is it's just very lovely. And I imagine it's one of those plays, as you read a play, and when you're reading it and you can see it on stage, you like that play. And so that play actually, in hindsight, really influenced a lot of my own writing, including the play that I brought down to Florida and we read there, Second Death of a Mad Wife, is in the same vein as that. So it's called The Haunted Widow Lincoln by Donna Latham. By the way, all the plays I'm going to talk about are on New Play Exchange, and you can check them out yourselves. The other one, second one, is a short play, and in fact, it could be even considered a monologue, although there is another person in it. It's a 10-minute play. It's called Route 84 House Fire, 3 miles from the train tracks, 9 from a hydrant, by Jesse Salisbury. And I saw this read at the Midwest Dramatist Conference in Olathe, Kansas. And it changed my mind about what a 10-minute play could be. Because I was pretty convinced to that point that a 10-minute play had to be funny. Because I just couldn't conceive of a 10-minute play that you could really dig your emotions into, in such a short amount of time. But while we were watching the reading of this play, I realized I had stopped breathing because I was just so enthralled by this very disturbing monologue by this teenage girl. So I highly recommend that one. And it actually prompted me to write a monologue that is, you know, not funny, which almost everything I write is funny. So, and even though I don't mean it to be, that's the other thing is I write serious plays that people laugh at. I rarely mean to be funny. And then the third play is called The Great Vietnamese Bicycle Company by Sharon Goldner. And everything I've read by Sharon Goldner is outrageous, irreverent, over the top, breaks all the rules, and I just love everything about it. And this particular play, it's kind of at the intersection of Vonnegut and Beckett and Sartre, and army trucks intersecting with bicycles and men and women and them and us, life and death. And you know, only someone like Sharon Goldner could, you know, prompt us to laugh at war atrocities and dismemberment, you know, while probing existential tragedy. It's a brilliant play, and I highly recommend that.
Great. I find this question to be one of my favorite ones because I just, as I've said before, I just keep adding to my list of things I have to read sometime when I get time. So that's really good. So good for our viewers. As Kelly said, if you'd like to read plays by Kelly or the ones she mentioned, you can go to the New Play Exchange website at newplayexchange.org. And if you'd like to know more about Clamour Theater Company and check out our news and events, you can see our website at clamourtheater.org, and you can find us on Facebook as Clamour Theater Company. We will post all of those URLs in the description below. And if you'd like to see more interviews like this one, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Kelly, thank you really so much for taking the time to speak with us today and for letting our audience get to know something about you. We are so glad you've been able to become part of the Clamour crowd.
Thank you so much, Elaine. This was a lot of fun. You're always a lot of fun, and I just adore all the people in Florida and everyone I've met through that program. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Thank you. All right. Have a good day.
Thanks, Elaine.